Hi, everybody. Welcome back to a continuing study of the afterlife. We're asking the question, is there life after life? And we're looking at a variety of religious traditions that give some answers to that. I'm John Fairless. I'm the pastor at Venice United Church of Christ, and my joy to serve here. And I'm kind of doing the lead research and the facilitating of this study. This is session number 5, and today we're discussing the religion of Islam. It shares common roots with Judaism in that Abraham, the character in both the Bible, Hebrew scripture, and in the Quran, the scripture of Islam, is sort of the founding father. Literally, he's the father of a couple of sons, each of which relates to one of those traditions. And so today, just an overview of how Islam answers this question. In regard to the concept of a soul, we've seen that common in our thinking here. There's something within us that bears the image or that carries on after our physical life is concluded. Often it's called the soul. Islam envisions a human as being of spirit and body. The creation of Adam, which is described in the Quran, is reminiscent of Genesis in the Judeo Christian Bible, as the Lord announces to the angels that he's going to create a human of clay and that he will breathe his spirit into him after he has given him form. From the Quran, 32, verses 8 through 9. And he originated the creation of man out of clay. Then he fashioned his progeny of an extraction of mean water when he shaped him and breathed his spirit into him. Again, that's very common to some of you who may be familiar with the Hebrew Bible's creation story. God making the first human out of the dust of the ground, and and then breathing God's spirit into Adam, who became a living spirit. Muhammad, the great teacher of Islam, around 570 years CE, after the time of Christ, appears to have regarded the soul as the essential self of a human being. But adhering to this ancient uh, Jewish tradition, he also considered the physical body as a requirement for life after death. The word for the independent soul is nafs, which is similar to the Hebrew word nephesh. Both words mean the aspect of the soul that gives humans their dignity and elevates them above the animals. There is also the Arabic word ruh, similar to the Hebrew word ruach, which means wind or breath or spirit. These two aspects of the soul combine the lower and the higher, that which is human and that which is divine. We all have that breathed into us in the basic understanding of both Islam and Judaism. As in the other major religions, how one lives on earth will prepare the soul for the afterlife. There are promises of a paradise, and there are warnings of a place of torment. In the Quran, Surah 57, verse 20, contains an an admonition concerning the transient nature of life on earth and a reminder of the two possible destinations that await the soul after death. Know that the present life is but a sport and a diversion, an adornment and a cause of boasting among you, and a rivalry in wealth and children. It is as a rain whose vegetation pleases the unbelievers, then it withers, and you see it turning yellow, and then it becomes straw. And in the hereafter, there is grievous punishment and forgiveness from God and good pleasure, whereas the present life is but the joy of delusion. Muhammad speaks of the last judgment, after which there will be a resurrection of the dead, which will bring everlasting bliss to the righteous and hellish torments to the wicked. This judgment will be individual. No soul will be able to help a friend or a family member, he warns, and no soul will be able to give satisfaction or to make intercession for another. While the doctrine of the resurrection of the body has never been abandoned in Islam, later students of the Quran sought to define the soul in more metaphysical terms, and a belief in the pre-existence of souls was generally established. In this view, Allah, the Arabic name for God, Allah kept a treasure house of souls in paradise available for their respective incarnations on earth. So the soul has always existed and always will exist. It is united with a physical body when we are born and while we live. And after this life on earth, soul and spirit are resurrected to receive paradise or to receive punishment. The Islamic paradise, known as Jannah, is in many ways an extension of the legendary Garden of Eden that we read about in the Bible. It is a beautiful place filled with trees and flowers and fruits, but it really cannot be expressed in human terms. It's far more wonderful than any person could ever imagine. Again, from the Quran, Surah 4, verse 69. All who obey God and the apostle are in the company of those on whom is the grace of God, of the prophets who teach, the sincere lovers of truth, the witnesses and martyrs who testify, and the righteous who do good. Ah, what a beautiful fellowship. Finally, hell is a place of torment. And like the image held by many Christians, it's a place of fire and burning. In the Islamic teachings, neither heaven nor hell last throughout eternity. Infinity belongs to Allah alone. And there may exist various stages of paradise and of hell for those who dwell there. On the lesson sheet, I've included a drawing, a painting, an artist rendering of the levels of heaven and levels of hell. You see there on the drawing, those who have gone below are sort of encased in a cell. They seem to be alone and they're there to contemplate their sins. Those who ascend to various levels of heaven, you'll see that a tree in the center is common to each of those levels. And again, I'm no expert and we're not really looking at the detail. You may spend a certain amount of time on one level and move to another level, or perhaps go directly, depending on the quality of the life you lived here, to a higher level of Jannah. But a basic overview of the afterlife in the great religion of Islam. That's all I can say. I couldn't answer very many more questions if you had them. I'm like you, I'm learning the overview of some of the things that these other faith traditions teach. Next time, we're going to begin our much more detailed study of the Christian beliefs, followed by a pretty thorough study of scripture passages and individual scriptures from where we get many of our ideas of heaven, of hell, and just what in the world happens in life after this life. I'll see you next time.